Hey guys, so in today's video we're going to cover using a script for your interviews. If you don't know me, my name is Owen. I'm a degree apprentice and I help people get degree apprenticeships in the engineering, technology and finance industries. Some of my students who are part of my coaching program right now, we're already getting them offers. So we've already got offers from Deloitte, EY, KPMG, HSBC as well. We've already got those offers and we're pushing on even more companies. Okay, so that's just a bit of background on myself. I help people with these degree apprenticeships. And yeah, so today's video is about using a script for your interviews. And basically, essentially, the background to this is yesterday, I think it was yesterday, maybe this morning, I don't know. I received an email from a subscriber who was asking me a question about this sort of thing, about using a script for your interview. Should you not? How should you memorize it? This sort of thing. And I thought rather than just sort of reply to this email individually, I thought if I filmed a video on it, then we'd be able to help out more people because I think this is quite a prevalent issue. I think should you use a script or not for your interview questions? Because I think what I've been putting out over the last 12 months, I've been telling people, okay, prepare for questions, script out the answers to your questions. But then I think people either don't hear or they forget the second half of the message. Okay, because I think it's now more commonplace. People are pretty aware. I've been saying this for like over 12 months now, which is common questions, go and script out your answers. Okay. But is it as simple as that? Do you just create a script like the one we've got on the screen here and then leave it at that, or do you need to do something more? So that's what we're going to cover in today's video. So let's come down to the email and let's read it out now. So, okay. Hey Owen, I just had a question about using my pre-planned question responses in the actual video interview. I've used your list of the most common questions and delivered a response for each. I was wondering whether I'd be able to read that whilst doing the video interview with my notes, obviously being in a position where it would appear as if I'm looking at the camera. Is this okay to do, or would it generally be frowned upon if they could tell I was reading off a prompt? In an ideal world, I'd be able to memorize all these answers, but realistically that isn't possible and result in me constantly stumbling over my words. Maybe I'm tackling this issue completely wrong and need to come up with a new technique to answer the questions, and I would greatly appreciate some help with this. Yeah, so let's cover this question. And just to sort of preface this video, I'm going to be, like I always am, I'm just going to try and be 100% honest with you guys, even if the truth is a bit harsh sort of thing, but I'm just going to keep it at 100, keep it at 100, so that I can help you guys as best possible. Okay? So, essentially, what he's asking here is is it okay to just have your script and then in your real interview have your script on the screen or somewhere else and basically just read off the script? The answer to that from me is no. I would not recommend that, okay? Because when you are in an interview setting, whether it's a real interview with a person or whether it's a video interview, the delivery of your answers are going to be worse if you have a script. Now, that's a fact, okay? And the level of it going down, your delivery, is going to vary depending on person to person, but it is a fact that compared to if you're actually delivering your answers like you're just speaking it, compared to your reading off a script, your delivery is going to be worse. Okay, and sometimes it can be noticeable. Like I've done coaching calls with people, I know they're reading off a script. There's a lot of signs of it. Number one is like you don't even answer the right question, because rather than listening to the question that they're actually saying, you're just too busy trying to find a question which you've scripted which is similar. So a lot of people end up answering the wrong question. Like you'd be surprised. Obviously answer the right question, but people don't do that. When they have a script, they get distracted and they get a question which is similar to what the recruiter said. Okay, and then they're just answering the wrong question. Now, even if they do, like it's a really super general question, like what are your strengths? Even if they're reading it off the script, there's so many clues there to tell. First of all, you're not going to be looking at the camera. I know he mentioned here in a position where it would appear as if I'm looking at the camera. That is actually more difficult than you think. Okay, like I've tried to do this when I, about last year, was filming YouTube videos with, like I was doing it with my actual phone rather than like screen recording on a laptop like I'm doing now. And there were certain bits which I wanted to script and I'd put it just below the camera. So I'd literally put the notes just below the camera, right? But even when I was looking at those notes, you could tell I wasn't looking at the camera. Okay, it's like me sort of looking down here. I'm looking at the very top of my screen, but I'm guessing you can tell I'm not looking at my camera compared to right now where I am looking at the camera and I'm making the eye contact. It's a very small difference, but it's something that we can pick up on. Okay, it's pretty easy to pick up when someone's not looking at you. It just seems a bit off. It just seems a bit off. And eye contact is really important because it means the recruiter's going to psychologically like you more. So that's number one, is like, if you're using a script, your eyes are going to be down here. It's not making eye contact. It's not going to be as engaging. Okay, like newsreaders, when they're newsreading stuff, I'm pretty sure their script and text is literally directly over the camera. Like I'm not even sure how that works. I'm not like a cinematographer or anything, but if you have a way of, like we don't have a way of doing that. If you've got a webcam on your laptop, you're not going to be able to just sort of Like, put your notes over that. Like, wherever you put your notes, you're going to be looking away, and it's going to be noticeable. So the eye contact's not going to be good there. Number two is a lot of the time you can see someone scanning left to right, scanning left to right, scanning left to right, scanning left to right. Basically, obviously, they're not actually moving their head, but it's like you can see it with their left and right. Now, would an actual recruiter pick up on this? I honestly don't know. Okay, but I pick up on it fairly easily, and I can see people's eyes scanning left to right as they're going down the page. I can see you're reading off a script. Okay, or maybe it's I have a student who, when he's using a script, his hand literally comes down to the mouse and he like sort of scrolls down halfway through his answer multiple times. I can see you're just scrolling down. Reflection in your glasses, I can see there's a Word document you're reading off. Okay, so it's very obvious when you're using a script, and also just your tonality. Your tonality, because it's not the tone of you speaking and actually saying things. It's just reciting words. It's not speaking, it's reciting. And when you speak, there's actual emotion and passion and a sort of energy which like makes them interested in you compared to just reciting it. Hey Owen, I just had a question about using my pre-planned question response in the actual video interview. Like, let's say I was just reciting this, right? That's not speaking. There's no energy there at all. That, like, those words don't even mean anything. When you're reading off a script, the words don't mean anything. But when you're actually sort of reading from memory, when you're speaking from memory, when you're using your brain, the words actually mean something. So it's from like just an energy perspective. The person who's actually speaking, like, it sounds kind of cringe, but speaking from their heart is going to have better energy for that recruiter. And they're going to seem more like a real person. That's why it can seem very robotic when someone's reading off a script. I have used your list of the most common questions and developed a response for each. I was wondering whether I would be able to read that whilst doing the video. Like, that's the sort of monotone sort of response compared to... So I've used your list of most common questions, and I was wondering whether I'd be able to read that whilst doing the video interview. Like, that sort of thing. You can get more energy when you're speaking it. Okay? So there's a couple of things there. For this video interview, you don't want to be using a script because they can really tell. Now, okay, I've said that they can notice usually. I mean, I can notice, so I'm assuming they can, right? Unless I'm Spider-Man or something, right? But I can notice pretty well when people are using a script. What if they notice? Would they care? Yes, probably. Because there are certain companies who in their emails they say, don't prepare responses. We don't want you to like tell us responses you've already prepared. We want to hear your own answers which you're coming up with. Okay, so they've sort of got that clause in there. I've heard of another company who they actually rejected someone because they thought they were reading off a script. They didn't know if it was ChatGPT, AI, reading off a script, but something just seemed wrong because they'd asked the questions and it just seemed like it was been scripted and it wasn't them actually coming up with the answer. So it's like, you've got to be careful here. So I'm saying, yes, write a script and get your answers ready, but I do have the second half of the message, okay, which I'll get to in a second, but I've gone through a few reasons there. Okay, a script's not good, and then this is just the video interview. So let's say for your video interview, you decide, okay, I'm not going to learn, I'm not going to memorize my answers, okay, fine. What happens when it comes to an in-person interview? Because you're not using the script then. Like, I guarantee you're not going to be printing off like a 6-page script and just having that in front of you. And when the recruiter asks you a question, you're just flicking through. Oh yeah, can I just go to this section of my script? Like, you might as well just pass them the script at that point and they can just read it on their own, right? You're not going to do that in in-person one. So that's another thing. When you rely on a script, congratulations, you have the ability to read off a script. Congratulations, right? Compared to, I have an actual interview ability. This is why I always try and emphasize with the people like my students who I'm coaching at interviews. I'm not coaching you to read off a script, right? Because anyone can do that. You can read off a script yourself. That's not a skill. The skill is interview skill. The skill is being able to be given a question and knowing what to say and being able to talk without a script. And another part of it is that the part of an interview is being able to receive or be asked a difficult question and knowing what to say. Because if you rely on a script, that's great until the moment they go off the script. Because you're good at reciting off a script, you're terrible at improvising. And that's another fallback with the people who go through the whole script only, I'm going to rely on the script strategy, is then they ask you some weird question you hadn't scripted and your mind goes blank because you've never legitimately asked an interview and answered an interview question before. You've never legitimately spent the time to practice being asked an unknown interview question and having to come up with an answer on the spot and speak it from your brain, not just recite it from some piece of paper or from some Notion document or Google Docs that you've got on your screen, but actually coming up with that answer. Okay, so that's sort of part one of this video that I want to say is, make the script, but you're not going to use it in the real thing, okay, which we'll get into in a moment. But I mean, essentially, you're going to memorize it, right? You're going to memorize what you need to do. That's what I recommend. I do not recommend using a script. Now, at the end of the day, all of you, your own person, feel free to go and use your script or whatever. But I'm saying, if you're serious, I would not recommend getting a script. Not recommend using a script, sorry. Yeah, this is why I have to be careful. And I think it's maybe some people like see some of my videos, but not all of them. So fair enough, I take responsibility for that. That's my fault. But essentially, just to sort of summarize, the whole process for making a sort of presentation, making an interview. Let me just summarize it for you here. Is right. You plan out the answers to the common questions. This is sort of the scripting process. Okay, you either write a full script or bullet points, whatever. You're just writing stuff down just to prepare yourself for the common questions. There's a whole list of common questions which I show my students, like why did you apply to this role? What are your weaknesses? What are your challenges? Tell me about time you worked as a team. What would you do if you had multiple deadlines? Tell me about time you're a leader. Tell me about time you worked hard on something. All those sort of things. You'll plan out the answers to those common questions. Then what you'll do is you'll go and learn those answers through practice. You'll basically practice those answers loads and loads of times until you've memorized them, until you've practiced them, until you've learnt them. And then what we'll do is we'll come back onto a coaching call and we'll perfect your answers and perfect your delivery. Then you'll go in and you nail your final interview. You don't need the script. Okay? That's the process of doing it. Now, if you are still reliant on the script, it basically means you haven't done this step here. You haven't done step 2. So you've planned out the answers, fine. You've made that sort of script, made those bullet points, but you haven't learned them, which means you can't go anywhere from here. Like, sure, we can perfect your answers on paper, but it's completely different from perfecting your answers on paper to perfecting the answers that you're actually going to come up with. We can't perfect your delivery because you don't have a delivery. Like, you're reciting. It's not a delivery. You're just reciting words off a paper. You're not actually speaking. Okay, so that's the problem. If you do use that script, you're basically you're stuck at step 1. Right, you're stuck at step 1. So that's essentially the process that it should be, is you script, then you go and learn and memorize it, and then once it's learned and memorized, that's when you go and perfect your answers, perfect your delivery, go and nail the final interview. That's basically how the process should be. So you've made your script and you want to follow my advice. As I said, your own person, don't have to follow my advice by all means, right? But let's say, okay, I'm going to listen to Owen, I'm going to script it out, and now I'm going to memorize it. Well, how does that work? Memorizing it's pretty hard. So in an ideal world, I would be able to memorize all of these answers, but realistically that isn't possible and would result in me stumbling over my words. Realistically, that isn't possible. Okay, says who? Why? Like if I was in a coaching call with you now, that's the questions I'd be asking. And I want to see what you say. Why? Okay. Because it is for some people. It is for me. Like, I memorize my answers. Some of my students most of them really, because this is what I tell them to do, most of them have memorized them, right? So why can't you? And like, it's simple as that. Like, I could end the video here because you know what I'm trying to say. Like, what I'm saying is, okay, just go memorize it anyway. There's a guy called Jordan Peterson who I was watching a course that he was doing, and he was talking about, basically he was like a professor, and he would take on like undergraduate or graduate students. I don't really know how it works, but he was taking on students to be like sort of laboratory assistants, teaching assistants, something like that, university assistants, right? And what he'd do is there'd be loads of people who'd be interested at the start, and he wouldn't have enough places. Okay, let's just say for arbitrary figures, he had 40 people and 20 spaces, and 40 people at the start of the year, they wanted to be, can I be Jordan Peterson's laboratory professor, assistant person, support assistant, right? 40 people, he needs to get to 20 spaces. How can I fairly get this down to 20 people and the best 20 people? What he did was he set like a really difficult task. He set like a very specific, difficult task of some essay, presentation-y, weird thing that they had to do in like 7 days. And like, he didn't even need it. Like, he just set them some random essay, presentation, piece of work that was kind of irrelevant, some research thing. He didn't even care. But he just set them it, and he purposely made it kind of difficult, short timeline, short deadline, and he set them. And the result of that was loads of people just ended up not doing it. Again, loads of people ended up not doing it. Even though they said they wanted to be a teacher assistant, professor assistant professor sort of thing, support graduate teacher, student, whatever, right? A lot of people said they had wanted to do it, but when they got set this task, they didn't do the task, and they told him, sorry, I'm not able to complete this task, unfortunately, because of da-da-da, and they listed a couple of excuses on why they couldn't do it. Okay, and then fine. That's like 20 people cut out, 20 people did it, 20 people didn't. Boom, we've got down to 20. So it worked for him. That's why he did this strategy, basically, because it just basically cut out the people who weren't interested, or cut out the people who weren't able to. Okay, because these 20 who didn't go and do the task, they had some sort of excuse, like, oh, maybe they had some like family thing going on. Maybe, oh, I've got a busy week this week. Oh, I'm going on this trip at the weekend, sort of thing. Okay, fine. Those 20 people couldn't do it. But then what he did was, just out of interest, was he surveyed the 20 people who had done the task, who had completed the difficult piece of work in the space of a week, 7 days, something like that. And he found that they had the exact same excuses. They also had a trip that week. They also had stuff going on. They also had these things that were going on in the evening. They also had some family thing that was going on. But the difference was they did it anyway. They did it anyway. So this is a mindset thing, right? Maybe you're telling me realistically it's not possible to memorize all of these answers because X, Y, Z, because I don't have enough time, because it's too difficult, because it's too many of them, right? Because I like have A levels going on, and I also do these sports, and I do this, and it's like, yeah, fair enough. Like, fair enough. I don't disagree with you there. Fair enough, right? Just memorize them anyway. Because the people who do memorize them, they have the exact same excuse as you. You don't think everyone else is busy as well. You don't think everyone else has stuff going on. You don't think everyone else has other stuff to do other than memorizing their answers. No, they do. They just memorize them anyway. So because I know there'll be a lot of people out here who want to go down this easy route. Effectively, the easy route is, okay, common list of questions, write down the script, have the document up, boom, Mr. Interviewer, ask me that question, let me scroll down to my question, read it off, piece of cake. That's the easy way. But as I just said before, your delivery is going to be worse, right? You're going to struggle with unknown questions when new questions come up. They might notice, in which case they might actually like disqualify you. They might think worse of you. I'm not sure. I'm not a recruiter, right? So I don't know exactly what they would think. But there's so many disadvantages of using a script rather than memorizing them. So it's a case of, do you want a degree apprenticeship? Well, yes. Well, then realize that the people who are going to be doing the best are going to be memorizing those answers. So if that's the level of work you have to do, then it's a case of, do you want to do the work or do you not want to do the work? And as I said, that's up to you. That's for yourself to decide. So any excuses for it's not realistically possible within the time constraints, there are 40 questions that I need to learn within the next week and I have this going on, it's not possible. It's like, sure, just do it anyway. Okay, just literally just do it anyway. Okay, it would result in me constantly stumbling over my words. Yeah, that's the thing. It's the first, like, I don't know, 10, 20 times you would do in a question. Yeah, you probably would constantly stumble over your words. Like, so would I. Like, if I'm trying to learn a new question, like I've scripted a new question, of course I'm going to constantly stumble over. It's like, for example, the intro that I do, I don't do it like consistently these days because I don't really care anymore. But over the summer, I had like an intro for my YouTube channel. Hey guys, my name's Owen. I'm a degree apprentice and I help people get degree apprenticeships in the engineering, technology and finance industries. Last year, I helped my students get into companies like Amazon, HSBC, KPMG, JLR, Rolls-Royce, just to name a few, right? And that's like my sort of intro. And basically for a whole bunch of videos, I said that consistently in every single intro. And obviously I can say it now with no problems. The first, like, several weeks when I was doing that intro for videos, I'd mess up that intro all the time and I'd have to restart it. Because it was a bit of a tongue twister, right? And that was the time when I had to have that noted down on a piece of paper to try and remember, okay, engineering, technology, finance, Amazon, I kept stumbling over the words, I couldn't remember it. But it's just practice. It's like I've now done it so many times in so many videos that I can do it fine now. So I think what you're telling me is not, oh, it's not possible for me to memorize the answers. It's just, it's going to be a lot of work to memorize the answers. Completely agree with you. Okay, but it's just a case of repetitions. Solving that is just repetition. Okay. So let me just go through this again, just to check I've covered everything. Is it okay to read off your script, or would it be generally frowned upon? Yeah, it's going to be worse for your delivery. It's going to mean you're not able to handle difficult questions because you don't have that interview skill. And it probably is frowned upon if they can tell, and they probably will be able to tell. So overall, it's like I do not recommend using a script in your real interview. Now, it's not realistic to memorize these? Yes, it is. You just have to do it over and over again. It's as simple as that. There's no cute answer for me. Do this little acronym 4-step technique to memorize it instantly. Download an app that has trees in. Like, there's none of that. It's a case of you have your script. What you're now going to do is recite it over and over and over again. Okay. And I think I have a video on this exact thing, which I don't even know how I'm going to find. I basically have a whole bunch of blockers on my computer now, so that I can't see anything on YouTube. So let me see if I can find it for you. I actually don't know how I'm going to find it. Okay, I don't think I can find this. It'll be called Apprenticeship Insider. Let me just come to my channel, actually. It'd be called this one. This psycho interview method got me 8 degree apprenticeship offers. So you can go on my channel, go and look at that video, and that'll explain how to practice these and how to memorize these answers. Okay, and the whole point I'm trying to say is, yeah, it's a lot of work. I agree with you. Yeah, it probably feels unrealistic, and you've got a lot of excuses. But even if you have that excuses, so does everyone else. So just do it anyway. Okay, just do it anyway. Right? I'm trying to end with this tweet, which I saw, which I think is relevant, and it's work hard enough over a long enough time frame, and one day people will call you lucky. Okay, and it's whatever goal you have, you're gonna have to work hard for it, and that's with degree apprenticeships. It's something I know I'm putting loads of videos. Maybe you've heard me say this loads of times, but degree apprenticeships are competitive, right? Degree apprenticeships are super competitive. Let me show you something. Right? This is degree apprenticeships. The interest in degree apprenticeships over the past 5 years. And it's just shot up, and it's going up and up and up more. And like, you see the significant increase that's happened this year in particular as the application process has started. We're at our highest level ever in terms of people being interested in degree apprenticeships. Okay, and I made videos in 2023 like predicting that this was going to happen, that degree apprenticeships were going to go mental. It's a lot of work. Okay, it's a whole load of work. So yeah, I know it's difficult to go and memorize all your answers, but I did it. Let me show you one of my students. This is like a screenshot of all the calls he's done with me. One-on-one calls, group calls. Has he memorized his answers? Yeah, he's memorized basically all of them. Like, can he do a bit of improvement in his answers? Of course, and that's why we're continuing to do calls. But he's proof that if he can memorize his answers for these common questions, so can you. Like, it's not realistic for him either. He's got stuff going on, but he's done it anyway. It's not realistic for me, but I've done it anyway. It's not realistic for you, but you go do it anyway. So, like, everyone watching this video, if you've got a script and you haven't memorized it yet, put the work in, go memorize it. Okay, because work hard enough, and one day people are going to call you lucky. Like, it's, I did some tweets about this today, because I think people take some responsibility. Take some serious responsibility. Degree apprenticeships, getting into them is difficult. You're going to have to work hard. You can't come in here expecting, oh yeah, I just want a degree apprenticeship, I'm going to get it automatically. I think, unfortunately, there's a big misconception of people being able to get into a degree apprenticeship just because they want to. Like, oh, I want a degree apprenticeship, therefore I'm going to get in. Okay, because it's like, oh, I'm going to choose a degree apprenticeship route, I'm going to be doing a degree apprenticeship in 12 months. Not as simple as that. A lot of people have to go on to gap years, 2 gap years, because they don't get an offer the first time, because they are competitive, because they are difficult. You have to work hard. Okay, it's on you. So it's like, it's not, oh, it's unrealistic for me to do that. No, do it yourself. It's not that, oh, someone else was lucky. They luckily managed to memorize, and they were born with better genetics. So they can memorize their answers better, but they're lucky. It's not luck. It's just working hard enough. Okay, maybe luckily they have a better schedule than you, which is why it's like, oh, they can go and memorize them. I've got a really busy schedule. They're lucky. I'm not able to memorize it. No, everyone's busy. You just learn it anyway. Like, I made like a tweet thread about this. Work hard enough over a long enough time frame, and one day people will call you lucky. And I'm like, I strongly agree. Right, and then I made these 2 comments. Hey guys, it's me. I only got 8 degree apprenticeship offers because I was lucky, and the job offers just magically landed in my email inbox without any hard work or effort from myself at all. Right, me having this YouTube channel is all complete luck. No hard work or dedication was required from myself. Just woke up one morning and I had a channel with 2K subscribers. Like, if you can't tell, I'm being ironic here, right? But I just want to hammer this point home. You're going to have to work hard. Okay, so if you don't want to memorize these answers, like, fair enough. But you're not going to get the results. And if you are ready to work hard, then you're going to get the results. Because you don't get these results. You don't get degree apprenticeship in the same way you don't get a YouTube channel with a couple of subscribers You don't get any result in life by luck. It comes from working hard. People just call you lucky. Like, so if someone calls me lucky for this, it's a compliment, because what they're trying to say is, you worked hard, but I feel bad about myself because I didn't work as hard as you. So I'm going to call you lucky to make myself feel better. That's what people say when they say, "Oh, we got it there by luck." No, it's just you didn't work hard enough, and now you're too embarrassed to admit it. I told you this would be a bit of a brutally honest video, but again, I'm just trying to be brutally honest. I'm just trying to help, because I could say, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it." No, just sit up, sit down, lie down, put your feet up. Don't worry about it. Chat GPT, get the script, read it off. Because then what happens when you don't get a degree apprenticeship offer, and because of the advice I've told you to do? Like, I'm going to always give you guys the best advice I possibly can, and the best advice I can possibly give is go and memorize all your answers. Okay, it might not be the information or the advice you were looking for, but it's probably the advice you need. Because, like, I see so many people with this same sort of issue of they have the script, but they haven't memorized it yet. Go and do the work. Your competition's putting in the work. Yeah? Your competition is putting in the work. So, yeah, hope that answers the question there. Any questions about this, let me know. But yeah, really just, guys, get your scripts and go and memorize them. Make sure it's all in your head. Make sure whenever I ask you a question, what are your weaknesses? Why do you want to do a degree apprenticeship? What do you know about this company? What do you know about this role? Tell me about the time when you solved a difficult problem. Tell me about the time when you had to meet a tight deadline. What would you do if you were introduced to a new colleague in your team, right? Make sure you're able to answer these. You know what you're going to say because you've memorized it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.